They finally did it. They added Cthulhu in Skyrim. Hello everyone. Today we're doing something special. Sometimes we cover big mods, other times we cover smaller mods, but sometimes you come across those minute-long adventures, those 10% of the plate kind of mods, that have a great story to tell in the span of a single dialogue from other mods. I wish that was a joke. Every now and again I would get comments suggesting me to cover mods from a mod author named Nimwraith. Strange, I thought. Very rarely do people refer to a mod by saying the mod author's name. So I got digging, and I am glad to say that there is treasure at the bottom of this hole after all. Nimwraith's mods are short character-focused stories in which the Dragonborn stumbles upon a precarious situation involving an NPC, and well, I was gonna say that the Dragonborn solves the situation, but as we will come to see shortly, at most he experiences the outcome, and at worst he chronicles the downfall of the NPC. I'm gonna stick to the main theme of this series and cover only 5 mods that felt impressive to me, even if they aren't necessarily the most popular or well-known mods made by this author. I will now proceed to give the disclaimer rundown. These mods can get kinda graphic and depressing at times, so if you're not in the mood for a character trauma dumping on you, feel free to see this one out. Most of these mods also have very cryptic endings, and although I will be dipping my hands into the metaphorical theory cookie jar, those theories will be completely mine, which means that at best they will be made for the fansies, and at worst they will be flat out wrong. I will also be adding Nimwraith's Patreon, mod page, and Discord in the description. And finally, spoiler warning. Although many of these mods have different dialogue options, and this showcase will not show every single option, I will showcase the majority of them, as well as the different endings. Meaning, you should pause the video and play them for yourselves if you're interested in experiencing these things for the first time by yourselves. That being said, even if you watch this video, you probably still might consider installing a few of them for one simple factor: atmosphere. Nimwraith isn't exactly shy about his influences, and I hear you people like role-playing on your 600 mods folder, so if you wanna add some more flavor to your worlds in the form of a small story or two, these go a long way. Put it to you this way: say you knew every plot of every story of every NPC added by the Interesting NPCs mod. Does that mean you won't download Interesting NPCs anymore? Does that mean you will endure another Skyrim playthrough with the same 10 voice actors for every NPC? No, you probably won't. Some things are just past their prime, much like Bethesda. And with the disclaimers out of the way, let's dive into the esoteric and gloomy world of the Nimwraith anthology by quite literally diving into the first mod, which is called the Breathing Abyss. So, imagine this: you're taking a nice little bath in the Sea of Ghosts, not far from the College of Winterhold, but all of a sudden, you notice something peculiar. A huge graveyard of every type of marine animal life you can think of. So you see a hole and dive in it. And there, you see this. Sir? Wrong franchise? Okay, it looks cool, I'll give you a pass. So we contact a researcher of paranormal activity in the college, and we set out on an expedition to find out exactly what this is. Manias is an interesting character as well. At the very least, I can say that he has a very interesting taste in home furnishings. He has always been drawn to mysteries like this, which is why he's interested in going out there and investigating a sea monster after a random person told him to do so.
I already know what I know. What I don't know seems to be way more interesting. Besides, don't you also feel that hunger for knowledge, that curiosity that just eats?
Typical Lovecraftian protagonist, all things considered, which means you probably know where this is heading. After researching the area for a few days, this is what happens to Manias. Are you alright? Why are you so distracted?
Fine, I'm just nasty night's sleep. Where was I? Yes, their tissue, well, their bodies remain normal. It's their brain that is disturbed. They turn to naught but mush, bloody pulp.
So you think the creature is emitting a pulse, but why can't we hear it?
I do not know. You heard her whispers, but why? Is it only for the minds of animals? No, can't be. It's proximity. I didn't kill them. No.
Why could I hear it whispering to me?
Why? Why? You've done naught but go near it. No prior knowledge on the thing. Are you chosen? Is that why you hear it? Why was I not gifted such a talent? Why?
Supposedly, when we were exploring for it, it was whispering near us. I played this mod 2 times so far and had nothing coming from it, so I don't know what to make of this. On a practical note, I will make your life easier by telling you where all the materials you need to progress Manias's research are. First, he needs 3 large scales. One is outside the entrance, the other one is under the creature, and the other one is at the bottom of the cave. Then he needs 3 samples of the things the creature ate. One is a bunch of fishes found outside the cave in the floor, and the other 2 are bones found inside the cave. One is between its legs, and the other one is inside the lungs of one of its victims. And that right there could have saved me 3 hours of looking around the cave like an absolute moron. After we visit Manias again after his little mental breakdown, he is nowhere to be found, but instead we get this encounter.
Your investigation stops here. Too much has been put at stake for your own selfish curiosity.
What's going on here?
Your actions began a possible future of naught but calamity and suffering. Investigations with the mage are over. You will not engage with the creature further. Its entrance now lies buried as it should and will forever be. Let this mark the day you had almost damned this world for your sin.
So, I'm guessing I'm not getting that 500 gold after all. Manias is then never again seen after this incident, and he's probably either taken away by the Sijiks or has gone completely insane forever. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is nothing but an off-brand Lovecraft story, only loosely sewed together in an Elder Scrolls game. Well, yes. But entertain this train of thought for me. In Elder Scrolls Shadowkey, yes, we're going very deep for this one, a war rages on between Hammerfell, High Rock, and Skyrim, which would come to be known as the War of Bend Mac. The details of the war aren't important to us, but what is important to us is the emergence of Umbra Keth, nothing to do with Umbra the Sword. This suspiciously Lovecraftian being was created as a result of the conflict, and not through any kind of magic, mind you. It simply spawned as a result of the war, which is why it is also known as the Shadow of Conflict. And so arises the question, could the Great War, the Skyrim Civil War, and the Hammerfell Rebellion, and many other conflicts that are taking place during this time, be given rise to another such entity in the depths of Skyrim? If something like that were to be the case, the Sijiks would probably be the only party capable of detecting, observing, and containing it. And this is my theory on this mod. Next, please! Calling the Watchmaker is a mod very similar, theme-wise at least, to the Breathing Abyss. The 2 mods are also very similar in vibe, which is why I choose to go with that one next. During this mod, the Dragonborn encounters a retired mage turned researcher of Arbis called Drainos. What's Arbis?
Mundus, oblivion, Aetherius and the void. It is what encapsulates everything as we know it. It is all.
At this time, these are his findings.
In the beginning, there was nothing. This nothing was made of 2 beings. The 2 clashed, seeking more than the other. 2 parts to a whole. A perfect balance. We knew these as Anu and Padme. For how long the struggle ensued, we do not know. Of course, such a thing did not matter, for time itself is not yet forged. And then, another being was given life. A thing of Anu ruptured the delicate balance. Anuil, the soul of everything, came into being. As such, Padme would also bring life of their own. Sithis, the embodiment of change.
When we talk to him again a few days later, he progresses with his research and he has this to say.
The inception of Arbis was the making of Anuil and Sithis, the offspring of Anu and Padme. Yet their creation was misshapen and was rife with turmoil. I believe this is what caused Anuil to birth another, Oriel, Akatosh, the chief of the divines. It's from here the Aedra and the Daedra came into being. They brought upon creation of the planes of Aetherius and Oblivion, respectively. But to what does this revelation bring? More questions, more forks.
What happened to them next?
Sithis birthed another, Lorcan, the traitor god to the Mer, he who is responsible for the creation of Mundus, man and Mer. Again, another fork. Each time I travel along these paths, no answers lie on the paved stones.
What questions do you have?
Sithis, a being of nothing, but still present, and powerful. It wants to return to what was before, nothing. However, it finds itself in the same endless clash as its predecessor, the balance of bars. But how? How can something be nothing?
So we can wait again and then visit him for the 3rd time, and this time, holy shit! I gotta level up. Also, what happened to this guy? Are you alright?
Answers twist and contort, and her form is ever changing, ever contradicting. The damnable paths stretch through the halls of my mind. Each road I travel, they lengthen and never cease.
What are you talking about?
We are not but a speck of dust to a man. We are insignificant, fragile. We can never hope to attain the answers, never. The void lies not in stasis, no corporeal attachment, ever pervasive, always intrusive, yes and no, black and white, hot and cold, light and dark, forever and always.
What does he want?
Death, decay, and the withering away. All that once became a something must return to empty nothing. The before. Yes, the before.
And here we're about to experience the 3 best words ever uttered in any mod I have played. What happened to you?
It gazed back.
What?
Nothing. Not an ounce of care or regard was given to me. We are nothing but an obstacle to it. We have no hope in understanding that being.
He says that he will continue on with his research, and when we come back again a few days later, he's nowhere to be found. Outside his house, we find a bunch of pieces of paper left behind by him, and when we follow those pieces of paper, we find... Cigar the Bandit. I'm just kidding. We find Drainos' body burned to a crisp, crying right under a Daedric card and a Crimson Urn root. We also find a bunch of letters right next to him and in his inventory, which read, Void. The Ringing Sound of Time, A Bed of Thought, and Dreams of Taking. In his inventory, he also has a book called Sithis. Okay then, so what did your boy out here got figured out? Well, in most of the mods we played so far, they all play by the myth of creation as presented by the annotated Anwat, but this story plays out by different rules. In particular, it plays by the rules of the monomyth and Sithis, the book. So according to the monomyth, Anuiel is not exactly Anu, and Sithis isn't exactly Parume. Imagine it like this, Anu and Parume are the concepts of stasis and movement respectively, order and chaos if you will. Anuiel and Sithis are the archetypes of said concepts. They still represent those concepts, but in a more conceptualized form. They can interact with other things and each other in tangible ways, whereas Anu and Parume could not. Now, the monomyth describes Anuiel as the everlasting ineffable light, and Sithis as the corrupting inexpressible action. It also mentions that in the middle of the Great Maybe, aka these 2 entities, is Nirn. So what was the piece of knowledge that turned dear old Drainos insane? Well, what if I told you that for all of Sithis' attempts at returning things back to nothing, it is that very demand which gave birth to action, and thus something, meaning that without even wanting to do so, and due to his interactions with Anuiel, Sithis is the creator of everything. No matter which way you spin it, this is always the case. Even if you were to doubt everything told in this book, every piece of lore agrees that Lorcan was a spawn of Sithis, and we all know that Lorcan became the entity that conceptualized, and with the assistance of the Aedra, be they knowing what they were doing or not, made Nirn. Sithis the book goes one step beyond this idea and throws Anu/Anuiel completely out of the picture as primordial beings, suggesting that Sithis is the only beginning of the world, and all others are merely his ideas, as it refers to them. And Anuiel is simply an idea of Sithis who made friends who together wanted to last, which is contradictory to the idea of Sithis because they enslaved everything he kept making and kept it in a state of everlasting imperfection, which is why Sithis made Lorcan to weaken them and destroy their flawed universes. Lorcan then presented himself to them as a friend, filled the void with new ideas like making a new realm that can succumb to the decay of Sithis, and you know the rest from there. This knowledge, that the being that seeks to destroy the world and turn everything into nothing is also the same being that made everything, was apparently too much for old Drainos. RIP. Now, why would Sithis smite him? I don't know, even Drainos was preaching about how we are utterly insignificant to Sithis. If I had to bet my money on any one theory of what happened to him, it would be that he did this to himself in an attempt to make a ritual or some kind of ceremony. The mod seems very key to know that he was once a expert distraction mage. Also, I don't see why Sithis would leave a bunch of alchemy materials on the ground. That was my theory on this mod. Knowledge is truly powerful. Knowledge! Okay, next mod. Enough with the mysteries for a moment. What we need is a story. A character-focused narrative. No more mysteries, just an NPC being better written in 4 encounters than Delphine was in an entire main story questline. A Hunter's Dream is an encounter mode that asks a very simple question. What if someone was doing the player character's job, but actually in the universe and without the mental consolidation that comes with knowing that we aren't really the Dragonborn, and all these are just pixels and numbers on a screen. Reality can be underwhelming like that. In it, we encounter a mercenary that does basically the exact same thing we do, but he's a lot sadder about it. Straight up he acknowledges that he has been doing this job for too long, and if he doesn't stop, this job will most probably be the end of him. Where his character develops, however, is when he initially goes from being glad to kill monsters such as bandits and warlords and criminals, to regretting the fact that he didn't give up on this job a long time ago. There's also a parallel going on between him and the Dragonborn. However, where the Dragonborn does whatever he does for whatever reason, his relationship with this job is purely financial.
Vashar must. He has no choice. This one relies on gold like any other. He cannot sustain himself. It is a fact he laments, but can do nothing about. Such dependencies can never be changed.
There is a really nice moment where we ask him if he feels guilt about doing this job, and he hits us with a...
Do you?
And if we say that we don't feel guilt, he has this to say.
This one was right. You are truly like Vashardin. A shame. This one had hoped you were better.
What do you mean?
Dealers of death, hired arms, or brigands with ambition. Vashar knows we are no different from those we hunt. We have no right to claim superiority over our prey. Nothing can justify the death we bring.
We can. We are not like the people we hunt.
Your mind is misguided, disillusioned with such justifications. Vashar knows he is exactly like them. Their deeds have perhaps corrupted him. We do not belong anywhere. We are outcasts among those we protect. They see our barbarity.
At the end, Vashar gets ambushed by a bear, refuses to see killing, and laments about not leaving a lasting impact on the world in the form of something that isn't killing.
Too many to name, my friend. Vashar has wasted this life. He knows it. You have made him truly see this fact. His biggest regret, which he always hoped for but could never achieve, to work with wood, to mold it with his claws, to create, to be a carpenter.
Okay, Jesse Pinkman, I see you. We're then given the option to comfort him by telling him that we will remember him as something more than the killer he was. And then he dies. Or at least, he should die. No matter how long I wait here, he never truly dies. He kinda just exists here. Why am I mentioning this more? Simple reasons. World building and character building. Our interaction with Vashar is brief, but they fill the world with a more realistic take on a hard blade. He also mirrors the Dragonborn in many ways, which makes us ask, what is going on in the Dragonborn's head? On a similar note, I want to give a brief mention to the mod called The Price of Art. I'm trying to find a good way to describe to you the price of art like I did with the Hunter's Dream, but I find myself unable to do so. For all the mysteries, theories, and esoteric garble I talked so far, this mod got me the most, which is weird because it has absolutely nothing to do with those things. The Price of Art is merely a collection of a few encounters and conversations between the Dragonborn and an aspiring poet by the name of Gaius. What shocked me most about this mod is how well Gaius is written. He has quite the worldview and the backstory to tell, and we get to unfold those things throughout our encounters. Also, no joke, the voice actor for Gaius kills it. This may just be the best voice acting that I have heard so far during a Skyrim mod. Just listen for yourselves.
I am so frail and weak. I have bind my face in these bandages and lock it behind this mask. He endlessly beat me, cracked my bones with his knuckles, and painted my face black and blue. I begged and prayed to all who would listen, divine or mortal, I did not care. Still no one listened. They turned a blind eye and a deaf ear to one so clearly in need of aid. That is the day I lost my faith in the gods.
By the way, all the mods we talked about so far have incredible voice acting. This is just the one that stuck with me the most. Of course, as per usual Nimwraith etiquette, we never get a true definitive ending to Gaius' story, but I would like to believe that he managed to beat his ghosts after all. I think that the main reason why this mod caught me off guard as much as it did was because I guess I really wasn't expecting such an accurate and on-point narration of a tortured artist in a SKYRIM mod, but I am definitely here for it now. Okay, enough melodrama, back to Tesla. Lost Heritage is a mod that begins when we pick up a bounty note left inside the inn in Fall Creek. When we go to the cabin and ask the person who left the bounty what's the problem, she refuses to open the door for us, because as she says she's ill with a very rare illness and she doesn't want us to get infected.
It's no common cold. My flesh, it writhes and squirms like something is trying to burst out of it. Parts of my skin have grown grey and now it shimmers under the light. Even breathing,
She says that she has always been this way ever since her birth, and that throughout her whole life, she had absolutely no clue about who she was. So you want me to uncover your heritage?
My mother, she hardly ever spoke to me of my past, of my father, or what I am, but she will to you. I know it. We lived in a cabin within Whiterun's tundra. Go there and find out the truth of who I am. Please, you must.
So we go to her mom's cabin to find out what happened to her, and oh dear. In her journal, Mal's mom says that she kept her in the chamber to limit her interactions with the outside world, and also to, quote, bar out any stray thoughts of her ancestry. In other words, she uses the cell to bar away thoughts that she might get in her head, which is strange. But even stranger, it apparently worked. She also has this to say about her father. I still yearn for his touch, to glimpse into his crystallized gaze and be lost in their abnormalities, to be rendered love-stricken by his mere presence. Still, I find myself captured by his company, however brief it was. I feel its ember still lingering within me, and yet I find myself enraptured by the thought of returning to that hovel, haunted by the ghosts of the sea and Winterhold's past. I even pondered if I should contact him again, glimpse upon that shadowy visage once again, and learn of the adage she left me with. When we go back to Mal with his news, her condition seems to have gotten a lot worse. She also doesn't take the fact that her mother died too well either. And now she begs us to go to the abandoned village where her mother and father met, in hopes of maybe finding something about her current predicament. The village is, well, abandoned, but there are a few little sassy things about it. There is a man behind a door who tells us that he knew that this would happen to her, presumably he's her father, and he tells us to inform her to come to this village so she can learn who she really is and be with her kind, whatever that means. There are also some weird vocal irregularities going on with this guy.
Faith, core of Nirn, core of man, and myrrh. They are born of it, molded by it, and undone by it. You must look inside yourself. Such a decision rests on your shoulders. Her time nears.
So here we have the option to either tell her to come to this village, or prohibiting her from coming to this village. If we forbid her from coming to this village, she curses us. Very harshly, Marayad.
God damn you! All my life wasted, all because of you! Nine, curse you! My death will be on you, no one else!
And just the day after, she's nowhere to be found, and in her cabin is only this note. My blood stains your hands. My demise tarnishes your soul. My corpse now lies in stasis. Then we go back to the hidden village and get this interaction with the mysterious man.
I see it. I see your sins. I see the guilt weighing on your shoulders.
You know what happened to her, don't you?
Halt it. Nothing remains. Change is inevitable, and yet you deny such a force. She shall ascend, despite your refusal.
If we tell her to go to the village, she instead thanks us for all that we did for her, and the mysterious man is nowhere to be found. Another small detail. In the village, there is I guess I'm gonna call it sanctuary, although the place has never been given a name. In said place, there is a stone altar with a skull, 6 hands, and a skeletal torso on top of it. In any event, except the one where we tell Mal to come to the village, eyes can be seen from the holes on the wall of this place. But the eyes leave after Mal comes to the village and the mysterious man and her disappear together. So, obvious questions. Who is her dad? And what became of her? First of all, let me say this. This quest is all over the place when it comes to a timeline. We are told that Mal hasn't seen her mom in almost a year, but her mom's body looks a lot older than that. Her mom supposedly met a mystery man at an abandoned village, and after all these years, he's still there. And Mal, being the way that she is, managed to escape, find a home, and survive alone for as long as she did. I have searched heaven and earth to match all the tick boxes and find a definitive solution to who this guy's identity is, and I have a theory, and it ticks all the boxes except the 6 hand on the altar question. I'm not sure what that's all about. So obviously, I think it's Hermaeus Mora, or at least it's a different iteration of Hermaeus Mora. More accurately, I believe it's the Woodland Man. I am so tired of referencing you. Everything matches too perfectly. Him being this creepy, semi-beautiful entity that plays around with mortals and can barely keep his voice concealed for more than a sentence. The aura of wanting to know too much and getting screwed for it that surrounds him. Even the whole locking Mal in a cage to protect her from the thoughts of wanting to know more seems to fit perfectly here. I can just imagine her mother trying to hide her away from any influence left by him or those, tentacles. Even the eyes on the wall support this theory. He was there waiting for her, and the eyes leave along with him when she comes to him, and then they both just depart to another realm. I am like 75% confident in this theory. It doesn't explain why the body parts in the altar are the way they are, and moreover it creates an obvious question. Why would good old Herma Mora do this? You could argue that this is an outcome of a temptation Mal's mom succumbed to, thus getting puppeted to do this, but still, does this look like something that would seek/want to engage in the activities with a mortal woman? Wait, I know I might get a lot of informative artwork for posing such a question, so we will leave it at that. And those were my choice 5 Nimwraith mods. Do not worry, there are plenty more, especially if you're a fan of Age of Silence, but I will let you discover those mods for yourselves. Take this video as a soft introduction to the Nimwraith anthology. Last mod came out a few weeks ago, so I'm guessing there'll be more to come as well. But with all that being said, if you have your own theories, please leave them in the comments, because this video right here is over. Bye!